Hello viewers, Flash Motorsport here and welcome to Kiel Army. Now this race I qualified, got P1 position, but it's not a busy race. I think there's only about 8 or 9 of us in this race at all. Might be even less than that. But to be fair though, this race was a very good race for the first few laps. But more on that in a minute. As we're coming down this section here, you want to look on your right hand side for the 100 marker. Brake it just after it because we didn't have a rolling start. Rubbing this in the curb on your left hand side and accelerating out the other. Coming over this curb on your right hand side, using the curb to help you rotate the car, keeping it back over to the right, braking down to second gear and rubbing the curb on your left and start accelerating out. Be careful of the curb on your right hand side, it can be a bit unsettling for the car, but if you do hit the curb, try and get that car straight as you can. Seeing the curb on your left hand side, braking down to fourth gear, let the car coast round, rub this in the curb, and as soon as you see the outer curb, start accelerating out the other side. Braking again just after the 50 marker, down to second gear, going a little bit hot here, go just off track like that, and managed to lose all that time I have gained. Fighting the car back onto the track, looking up, I don't get a penalty and I don't get overtaken. I did sort of block him a little bit, but you know, I've got to try and stop being so passive as well at the same time. As we're coming up the hill, looking out for your left hand side for the curb to start again, braking down to second gear. Now I've got the MG on the inside, tried doing a dive bomb move, and luckily enough we didn't collide with each other, and I waited to turn to see where their position was rather than just diving in and hitting the apex, you know, with the apex syndrome. We've got to give people space and be fair. Looking out for the marker on the left hand side, 100 marker, braking down to second gear, rubbing this curb on your right hand side, and then start accelerating as you clip the curb. Going a little bit tail happy through there, but lucky enough, no harm, no foul. Coming over to your right hand side, over this curb if you can. It doesn't matter if you clip it or not too much, but if you do ride over it, you can gain a few attempts. Braking down to second gear, rubbing the curb on the left hand side, and start accelerating out the other side. The person behind is now, well, Team Nimbus GT is now 1 second away, which is quite close, but luckily enough, not in the slipstream. They are actually gaining a little bit, 0.9 now, which means they had a better come out of that corner. But we are now in the braking zone, so they can't really maximise on that. I do brake a little bit early there, thus going through a little bit slowly. And Team Nimbus managing to capitalise on that, so well played there, buddy. Braking down the second gear, rubbing this inner curb on left hand side. I'm thinking now, because P3 is 2.5 seconds away, Team Nimbus is going to be my rival for this race, so hopefully I'll be able to keep them behind me. Coming around here, braking, creating a little bit of a safe breathing space, coming back through, start accelerating out. If you look in the mirror, Team Nimbus is alright, and then we're straight into the wall, and I have no idea what happened there. Besides, maybe they got a bit of the curb, unsettled the car and span them, and then they had the sticky wall syndrome of Forza, and that's what made them spin. Absolute shame, because I would have enjoyed a racing battle like that being pushed, but clearly it was not meant to be. Braking down to second gear, coming through the inside of this corner. As soon as you're half around the corner, start accelerating and out the other side. As we're coming downhill, you want to keep on your right hand side, maximize your power, maximize the track, clipping the curb on your left hand side, and then keeping to your left hand side as you see the 100 marker, braking down to second gear, coming through. You can go over that curb, or you can clip the curb like I just did. Sometimes going over the curb can help with the rotation of the car. Coming through here, dabbing the brakes, get your car over the curb just like that, and then braking again just at the 50 marker. Rolling the curb on your left hand side and start accelerating out the corner. Now, as I'm P1 position, P2 is 3.6 seconds away, which is quite a large gap. And considering this is a medium length race, I'm going to have to pit at the end of lap 4 to then last the other few laps. Braking at 100 board, down to second gear, going over this curb on your left hand side and start accelerating up the hill. Again, using the right hand curb for your better rotation to bring the car around. Keep it to your right hand side, dabbing the brakes, down to second gear, and I have the car slide in a little bit. I think I more or less lost time on that slide rather than gained it. It just felt a bit, I went into the corner nice and quick, but when I came out the corner, I felt much slower than what I usually am. So it might not be beneficial to have that slide unless you can hold the power on. But I am ahead of my best lap of a 155.026. but doesn't mean that didn't slow me down. Again, now 0.89 seconds ahead of my best lap. Coming around over the curbs, using these curves as much as you can, because as soon as you hit that curb on your right hand side and you're over it, you can basically maximize on full throttle all the way up this hill. Braking at the curb, start down to second gear, rubbing this curb on your left hand side and start accelerating as you're halfway around, and down the hill we go. Jumping ahead to lap 4. We are now pretty much worn our tyres out before they get onto minor wear. P2 is nearly 6 seconds away from us, so this is the lap we're going to have to pit on. Team Nimbus is trying to make a move. I can see him popping up on the leaderboard just below, so they're in P5 position, P4 now. They are 14.7 seconds away, which shows how good of a driver they are, because they are making a good bit of ground here, so I've got to give them their due. And it's a shame, I was hoping to race them, because it looked to me as they're catching up and following me that it would have been a very clean race, and B, a very competitive race. Either they would have overtaken me and I would have had to gain on them or learn from them and see if I can make myself faster and better, or they would have pushed me to a point where I would have had no choice but to get faster and better. Anyway, a few cars have overtaken me through the pit, so I can only presume A, they're either on medium tyres and haven't realised they're going to be on minor wear in a moment, or B, they're on hard tyres and they're going to be having to pit anyway, because I don't think you can last 8 laps on hard tyres on it. I'm pretty sure you can't, because I did 6 laps on hard tyres and they were near enough worn, and then I went in for soft tyre change. So yeah, so they're going to have to go for a pit change anyways. You can see P1, 2 and 3 have not pitted. I'm coming out in P4, which shows you how far ahead I was of everybody in the pack, because P5 is 15 seconds behind, so I could presume they're in the pits, to be fair. As we come around here, and this nice set of fresh tyres in 4th gear, coming round, start accelerating out the other side, coming back to your right hand side just after the 50 marker, dabbing the brakes down to 3rd gear. I sometimes go down to 2nd gear. I have a higher gear final drive ratio on this track. I should really adjust my final gear ratios to compensate for the track I'm on, rather than just leaving it and it works in all, because really I'm losing time of not having as good acceleration as I would if I adjusted the gears correctly. Anyway, braking down a 2nd gear, I'm really catching up to the cars in front. Don't mess with a Pappy is 3 seconds away now. I gained a 0.5 of a second just going through that corner. Coming down the hill, keep to your right, rubbing that curb on your left hand side, bringing it over, keep it about middle-ish left hand side, braking at the 100 board, down a 2nd gear, rubbing that curb on your right hand side, start accelerating, and keep to your left hand side. Keeping it in 3rd gear, bring it round over the curb, and I'm surprised I didn't get a penalty for that one. Somehow I made it work. I don't know. I was quite shocked. I really cut that one. Anyway, 2 cars on the left hand side, 3 cars on the left hand side. Everybody's gone into the pits. So now I'm again in P1 position. P2 is Akabibo 7289. Oh man, I wish people would pick easier names. I can't do it. Oh dear. Team Nimbus is now in P3 position, which shows you, like I said, how quick they were. Now they're in P4. I'm not too sure what happened there. Anyway, they're 17 seconds away, 18 seconds away from me right now, which really means I've been gaining time, or they have been held up by the cars in front. Looking on the left hand side for the curb to start braking, just a dab of the brakes to let the nose come down, bringing it round, back over to your right hand side again. Try and stay away from the curbs because they are sandy and it will really upset the car. Over this curb, try and bring the rotation around. I see I'm on the sand, but I either moved on to the concrete to the right hand side, or I got the car as straight as I can, just to try and not have the effect of the back end doing whatever it wants to do when I really want the car to go straight. P2 is now 7.2 seconds away from me. P3 is 16 and Team Nimbus GT is 18 seconds away. Jumping ahead to the end of our last lap. Team Akimbo is 6.5 seconds away. I started taking my time, really, just letting off and not pushing as hard as I normally would. Just taking it more of a relaxing approach. Trying to see if I can get my lines better to an extent. You see now my minor wear has just come up. Coming over the curb on your right hand side, abusing that curb, 15 numbers is still 18.1 seconds away, and P4 is 25 seconds away. So as we cross the start and finish line with pretty worn, noisy tyres, my best lap was a 153.656, which I think is really good for medium tyres. And like I say, we won P1. Before we start our next race at Watkins Glen, if you like what you're seeing here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I also like to thank our channel member, Andy Good. Thank you for supporting the channel. The great thing about supporting this channel is you get exclusive access to uncut footage that nobody has or will ever see. You'll also get a cool Flash Motorsport logo next to your name in the comment section, and you'll also get use of the emojis I've created to be used in the comment section as well. On to Watkins Glen. Now, qualified for this race, I got P2 position, but I am racing Zentora 2307. Now, Zentora 2307 is a very fast driver. I've raced them on a few occasions before, and they are quick. I am being pinched a little bit here. I don't think they've realised. But whilst being pinched and trying to give them room, I also managed to surrender a position because Black Reaper capitalised on that. You know, sometimes I think to myself, sometimes was that room necessary that I needed to give? And was I just being overly cautious? And exactly that reason, I was being overly cautious and lost that position. But lucky enough with the MG, I quite like that Red Bull livery on that car on the left hand side. It's absolutely, I like the red on it, it's really nice. Anyway, coming through here, we have a bit of contact coming through, and I managed to get myself off the track, and I got a 0.6 second penalty. I mean, seriously, it's, you know, it's nothing I could really do about that besides either surrendering that turn to the Peugeot on the left hand side or not being hit by the Peugeot on the left hand side. I mean, it's not the Peugeot's fault either. I could have given that Peugeot more room, but I didn't. And there was contact made, but I don't think it was contact enough to create the issue I had. And this is where I find the physics system a little bit skew with, where a tiniest bit of contact can literally just send the car totally off balance rather than having a little crease in the door. I don't know. Anyway, braking just before the 100 board, down the second gear, rubbing the curb on your right hand side, and start accelerating out to the out curb on the left hand side, bringing it back over to your right, braking hard down to second gear, clipping that curb on your left hand side. As soon as you clip that curb, you can start accelerating out and rub this outer curb. Obviously, Centauri made a little bit of a mistake, but they're not slow enough for me to be able to capitalize on that mistake. So really, I'm just going to catch up them and back out of the corner rather than force a position that I know I'm not going to be able to create. They are gaining on me on through here. They are 0.7 seconds away, but I am in the slipstream. So looking out for the 200 mark on the left hand side, braking down to third gear, clipping that curb on your right side and start accelerating down the hill we go. They are still again a little bit quicker, but I am in the slipstream now. So I can only start really gaining time on them, hopefully, and be able to either keep up with them, make a move on them, or I crash again. I don't know. Anyway, looking out for the ambulance on the left hand side. That'll be our next braking marker. Braking down to fourth gear, about 100 miles per hour. And this is where a little bit of slipstream, a little bit of air wash messes up the MG. I got caught up into it. The car decided it didn't want to turn, so they managed to gain on that. And like I say, it's got to be something on my tuning setup, because other people are not having as much of an issue as I am with a bit of slipstream. Or maybe they're planning better than I am. Again, it's something I need to work upon, and I am working upon it slowly. It's finding the time to do so as well. Braking just after the 200 marker, down the second gear, rubbing this curb on your right side, start accelerating up the hill. You got to be mindful when you accelerating up, put the power on gently, because you can quickly understeer, not understeer, wheel spin up this hill and lose a lot of traction time as well as tyres. Braking just before 100 board, down to third gear, rubbing that curb on your right hand side, like I say third or second gear depending on your ratio, coming over to the right hand side, and then braking right down the second gear, going quite slow. You're looking at about 60 miles per hour and start accelerating as soon as you clip the curb on your left hand side. Looking out for the board on the right hand side, just after the 200 marker, dab of the brakes, clipping the curb on your left and bring it over to your right, back over to your left hand side, dab of the brakes and rubbing that curb on the inside, or try and get cut as low down as you can, and then you'll have a better rotation. Centauri has gone into the pits, so they must have been on soft tyres for that one. That's unusual. They must have been on the soft tyres just try and get away from the pack, and now they're going to go on hard tyres and basically finish off the race on hard tyres. The only thing is with that now is if they come out of the pits now, we've got to try and battle through everyone. Would that be worthy enough of the slowdown to swap tyres and the time they gained? I'm not too sure, only time would tell really. But if they do manage to gain upon that, that is a genius move to make. If they are, again, able to battle through everyone, breaking it down to 4th gear, rubbing the curb left and right. You can see the difference now that I haven't got a car in front of me. For some reason the car turns. I just don't know. I give up. Looking out for the hut, start accelerating as you pass the hut. Down the hill we go. The braking marker here is a bit weird. So I use the curb on the right side and a set of Corsa, where you don't really have that on here, is actually a bit set forward. So it's really a guesswork of braking in that corner. But here I brake just after the 200 board, looking about the 150 area, down to 2nd gear, rubbing this curb on the right side and start gently accelerating up the hill. Keeping over to your left hand side, we are looking out for the 200 marker. Just after that, we want to be braking. It's about 150 again, down to 2nd gear or 3rd gear, depending on your ratio, because you don't want to be wheel spinning through there either. Now you got to brake really slow down to about 60 miles per hour through here in 2nd gear, rubbing that curve. As soon as you rub that curve, start accelerating out the other side. Be careful, because that outside part of the track can come onto you very quickly, and if you aren't prepared for that, you will end up hitting the wall. Like I say, it comes in quite quickly. It's quite unexpected. Round this curb, like I say, using the banking of the track for rotation, and over the start and finish line we go. We are going to be setting a 157.992. I could do better than that, I know I can. That's quite slow for me really, I think. That's really not that good. Anyway, the tyres are near enough worn, so this is going to be our last lap on this set of tyres. We're going to have to pit and put another set of mediums on. We are 14.5 seconds ahead of P2 position now. Now, if they haven't pitted yet, or they're on hard tyres, that means they might overtake me now, and then I'll have to battle through them as well to try and gain back the time. But evidently, they're going to have to pit regardless anyway, due to, I don't think you can do a full stint at Watkins Glen on hard tyres. I don't think it's possible. I think I've tried it. I'm not too sure. I don't think it works. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work. But they are now 15.7 seconds behind me now, and I don't see Centauri's name in that list either. But if everybody else does pit, and he will have a clear road ahead of them, which is also a worrying factor. As we come out the pits, you can see quite a few people must have been on a different tyre strategy than I was, because they are still going. My tyres were pretty much worn at the end of that last lap. So they are on hard tyres, which means I can gain upon them because I'll have better grip, better braking. But where is Centauri? Because I'm in P7, which is quite far back really. Going over the curves, looking up and not getting a bit of air wash. P1 is 6.3 seconds away, so it does show you how long the pitting does take, and it is quite detrimental. It is not the longest pit, it's about mid-range-ish. I think Yas Marina is one of the longest pits I've ever been in. It felt like an eternity, but as we come around this corner, I'm going to make a move on this Golf, and then I'm going to be part of a Tesco meal deal. A proper sandwich there. But as we're coming down to the next corner, I brake early. If you look in the rear view mirror right now, the Astra is clipping me, and then somehow they managed to collide with an Audi. So I'm not too sure what happened there. Trying to make a move on this Audi to my left and side. I'm going to have the inside line in the next corner. The problem with the inside line, it is quite a tight corner, so I'm going to have to brake earlier and pretty much surrender a lot of speed to make sure I get round. But look enough, I managed to make it work. Centauri is actually in front by 3 seconds, which is quite a gap. So they really must have been pushing hard on those hard tyres. It's quite worrying really, because they were that much quicker than me. Anyway, as we come over towards the next corner, last corner before the start and finish line, coming in here, 4th gear, letting it coast in, and then out the other side, and I managed to hit the wall because, you know, the pressure's on and I'm making silly little mistakes trying to catch up to Zentori in P2. P1 is 7 seconds ahead, but they haven't pitted yet, so they must be on hard tyres, waiting for the end of lap 6 to go in for the last 2 laps on soft tyres. So really, me and Zentori should be catching up to P1, because hopefully their tyres are pretty worn now, and they're going to definitely be slower than medium set of tyres. But I've still got to try and capitalise on Zentori. He has a 1.2 second penalty, so I need to either catch up to them and overtake them, or catch up enough that I can capitalise on that penalty they have. Jumping ahead to the last lap, Juice Pineapple did pit. They had to go on the soft set of tyres, but they are now 18 seconds behind me. Zentori is now 4 seconds ahead of me. Now I've managed to get myself a penalty for going a pixel over and making silly little mistakes like I am now, coming in a little bit hot, going wide, hitting the wall, losing all the time in the world like a complete plum. I was overdriving the car ridiculously and trying to catch up on a position I know I'm not going to be able to catch up now, and I was still doing silly little mistakes that more out of frustration that I was making silly mistakes because I was under pressure. It's sometimes, you know, you can let your mind just relax and go, well, whatever. And sometimes you just want to try and win and try and catch up, and you can't get that silly little tunnel vision out. And like I said, I'm happy to explain my thought process because everybody's been in this situation at least once, and it's sometimes hard to get out of that situation as well. So these little silly mistakes I'm highlighting is because of this that I was getting. So instead of hiding away from it, I'd rather explain it and tell you what I was going through. Anyway, as we crossed over the start and finish line though, we did get P2. We started in P2, we finished in P2. Can't grumble at that. Thank you all for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye.